Welcome everyone. Chris is actually presenting, but we can't hear him, so bear with us and we'll try to sort that out.
Okay, is that better?
I can hear you.
Excellent. All right. I think Zoom kills me when and Teams. I took a Teams call and all my audio just went to in the middle of the Teams. Anyway, thank you for joining us all. I take it you all hear me. Can you see my screen now as well?
Yes.
Okay. So what we're going to do today is just really quickly look at the Yeastar Central Management platform, all right, based on the cloud side, all right. First of all, like I said last time, in our knowledge base under Yeastar, scrolling down to training, you'll find what is going to be the recording. After this is done, we'll load the recording up. And at the moment, my PowerPoint slides are in there as well. So you can grab those as you go. All right, we're going to quickly run through what we've got. On my PowerPoint, I'll just show you quickly. What I've done is the same as all the others, where I've got what we're focusing on, and there are URLs or links alongside each of the things we go across, so you can jump in and have a look. Some of those links are Yeastar links, but most of them are back into our knowledge base. So for all you guys, the premise is you have access to our knowledge base. If you don't, you can come back to us and you can apply for it, but you really need to be dealing with us in the knowledge base, because as you can see, we have an absolute plethora of articles on how to do things in the Yeastar. Now, my PowerPoint does go through everything we're going to go through today. I'm going to skip a lot of this, all right, and just show you in the central management. The concept of central management is, as the name suggests, it's centralizing and managing all your PABXs together. All right. So the idea is from here, I can see what licenses I have, what have been applied, what are free, my trunks, how often they're being used, my recordings, how much recording space I have left. I can access, resize, stop, upgrade all my PBXs. All right. I can group them together. I can see my alarms and the health of my PABXs as well. All right, I can create additional users, all right, so people can log in into my portal, all right, and start doing things. I can create tasks like upgrades, backups, restores, all right, through here, and I can create provisioning templates. But the concept of this is basically everything comes into one central point, and from that one central point, I can then break out and access and do other things, all right? And I can see how other things are going, all right? When you first get your central management portal credentials given to you, that is as a super user, all right? So you get to access everything, all right? And from there, I can create other users who have maybe less rights, for example, contractors or other users, all right? Who have less rights and can start logging in and doing things as well, all right? Conceptually, what you want to do is your super user is for your company, all right? This is for your administrator to run, and you will create other sub-users under that super user, and as those users come and go, as you know, employees do, you can shut them down and open them up, all right? So if you give out the super user username and password, which is what you're given when you first log in or first get your credentials, all right, you now have security issues with it. You've got to come back and change your passwords whenever somebody leaves, because they can access everything, all right? So I'm going to go through how to set up more new users as well, all right? But that's conceptually where we're at with it. All right. Okay, first of all, when you log in, you're greeted with the dashboard. The dashboard will tell you just at a glance, you know, the last 24 hours, how many phone calls have been made. All right, so you can see your kind of usage across all your PABXs. All right, your alarm trends, so you can see if there are any alerts, warnings across all your PABXs for the last 30 days. All right, you can also see from your resources what tasks I have scheduled for my PABXs. Okay, peak calls, how my recordings are going. Now, one thing with this, with the central management portal, it does leap you back and forward between pages, all right? Because there are links to other areas. If you do look at things, say, for example, like active calls, all right, it does sometimes take a while to load, all right? So when you click on it, I know it's going quick now, but you saw when we first opened this up, the recordings takes a while to load because it is pulling data, all right? So when you do click on things, you sometimes just have to wait a second or two before it populates and away you go. Again, on the resources page, I can see I have 3 running PABXs. I have none stopped, none starting, none upgrading, none restoring or provisioning. I can see the firmware versions of my PABXs, all right? It just gives me a general health look at what my PABXs are doing. Up to your right-hand side, you also have access to the user manual. So this will take you into what we're just explaining now, how the Yeastar Central Management works and the user manual for central management, as well as notifications. So we can see from here, there are 2 new versions coming out, one for P-Series appliance and one for P-Series software. Now, if a new version comes out for P-Series Cloud, which is what we're looking at today, that will sit there and notify you as well. Okay, and off memory, if you click on that, it'll take you to the release notes of what it is. Okay. Lastly, your alarms. Okay, so this is your alarms across all the systems, all right? So I can sit there and see, for example, my recording usage is really reaching capacity in one of our in-house systems. I can see some SIP trunk registration failures on one of our labs. And it just gives you, again, a health check of your systems. And like the Yeastar all the way through, everything is filterable. So you can you can filter down to your own PABX, or the one you're searching for, okay? All right, and as you can see, I've just jumped from over here, my alarms, and I'm now sitting in the alarm section over here. So that kind of link between the two is there all the way through. And lastly, me as the super user, I can change my password, you can change the language, and I can log out, all right? So this is me as the super user, all right? And from here, I'll create other users. My subscriptions, okay, with licenses are applied. So when you ask for licenses to be assigned to you, so you put your application form in for 5 licenses or whatever it's going to be, from here, I can actually see when the licenses apply because I'll have extra licenses, all right? And then you can go and create your PABXs and move on from there. But in this case, I have 33 extensions. There are none available, or 33 licenses. There are none available, 33 used licenses, none available. I have 7,500 recording minutes, got 500 left. Of those 33, 28 are on the ultimate plan. It tells me, for example, I have 1 enterprise PBX, 2 ultimate plan PBXs running, where my extension numbers are. So I've got, like I said, 28 running in ultimate and 5 running as extensions. If I have remote management licenses for the P-Series server or appliance editions, how many licenses I have here for it and how many I've used, all right? Like I said, in this case, we are looking more at the cloud. I think Monday we're going to be on the remote management side of things for the server and appliance, but conceptually we are still there, all right? Everything comes back to here. We're trying to get away from the days of just having a URL on an Excel spreadsheet with a username and password next to it for your clients to access, all right? It makes life hard, it's messy. I'm not saying it's legacy because it's a terrible word, but at the same time, it is legacy. You want to come into here, all right, and get that additional information, like I said, for your alerts, your firmware version upgrades and stuff like that. You just come into here and it's all in one place. Some of these things I'm going to jump through really quickly because either they're going to be covered in another time, all right, or they're just not applicable. The remote management side of things is, again, combining both the cloud PBX, but now I can drag in the P-Series server editions into here, all right, as well as the appliances as well, all right, so, the on-premise Yeastar as well. We're not covering this. This has been done on Monday by Harry. But again, conceptually, you want to bring your server editions into the portal. I mean, you can see alarms, you can upgrade, you can do virtually everything you can do in the cloud in one central place. Cloud PBX is where we're going to play with the most, all right? So from here, this is where traditionally you would come and you would add a PABX and start and go through the wizard and stuff like that, all right? But from here as well, as long as you've ticked passwordless access, I can sit there and click on a link and that takes me to the PABX. All right, I'm straight in and I'm away. All right, again, it takes me as a super user into the PABX. All right, and from there I can start programming and doing whatever I want. All right. I can export, I can upgrade. And what you'll find is, like I said before, a lot of this stuff you'll sit there and tick and it will take you to another location. So in this case, it's created a task so I can upgrade the PABX. Now I'll go through this a bit more in a little while, all right? But basically that kind of jumping between pages is always going to happen here, all right? I can back up a PABX, I can bulk edit, and I can delete, all right? Now, sliding to the right, this is actually quite a good feature, all right? You can click on your filter box and you can actually show you more information, all right? So in this case, I can show use extensions, or if I group my PBXs together, so I have, I want to group them to upgrade a whole heap of PBXs, or I have a company that's got, 5 or 6, 7 sites, and I want to group them together, I can show the group and search and filter down. So it just helps you filtering out things, all right? You can see your last backup times. And if you just add or delete, it just changes immediately. So what you can do is you can add or see things that you want at the time, all right? And then you can, change your page back to normal again and get that freedom, a bit more space. All right, and that's just over here. That's something we do use a lot. From here on the PBX, I can see the status of the system is running, all right? I can see the serial number, the name of the PABX, the capacity. Now, you guys will all know this already, okay? How many active calls, how many use extensions, okay? The URL, which I can just click on and go into the system for, as well as the version. Details, I can see, basically I run down again of what I just looked at there before. I can see the recording capacity, transcription, version, the URL, allow passwords login, allow us passwords login. If you are using shared trunks, your DDIs will be shown here and the customer information, okay? So this is the email that's on the original setup of the PABX, the activation email is sent to. I can also pause the PABX or stop the PABX. I can get an individual rundown on how the PABX is again being used. So I can sit there and see how many active calls there are, recordings, recording space, all right, and get an idea of the PABX. So when you go into my subscription dashboard, it actually shows you all your PABXs together, all right? While this will actually break it down to an individual PABX level, all right, to show you how things are going with your PABX. On the edge from here, I can resize the capacity. So if you're going from 6 users up to, say, for example, 7 or whatever you're moving to, you can resize from here. Now, again, most of you guys can see your names in the thing are all used to this. This is just going through for others as well. All right. I can upgrade the plan from a enterprise to an ultimate. Okay. If you have put an expiration date on your PABX, you can change the expiration date. You can reset the administrator's password, right? You can restore the PBX and you can delete the PBX. Right? All fairly logical there, okay? We're going to skip ahead a few of these because chunk sharing we're not covering, all right? Customer is really nothing big for you guys. Most of the time, I think you'll find the customer is going to turn out to be the local contact for the PBX you have started, all right? An email template, you can change the templates for welcome aboard. All right, so when the activation is sent to an end user, you can actually change this as well. And lastly is white label. For you guys who have white label, you can add your logos, your designs, excuse me, email signatures and so on. Okay. Like I said originally, this is all in the PowerPoint. And the PowerPoint has hyperlinks that take you back to the knowledge base, which actually tells you how to do it. Okay, so it's all the information we're going through today is sitting in here ready for you. Groups, okay, groups are actually quite handy. Groups will help me filter out or help me filter to find things I want. Like as an example, I have multi-site, single instance PABXs everywhere, all right, I can add them to a group. And then when I go looking for my PABXs, I can search by the group, and that will just bring them all down into one easy view for me that I can access and change. All right. So grouping is just a way to help me maintain and control and see things a lot easier. Alarms. All right. So we jumped on the alarms before by clicking over here. I can see there's 20 alarms for all the different PABXs. All right. And going down to my alarm list, I can see what alarms have been going. Now, the alarms are good. All right. They just give you a warning. They tell you what's happening with your PABXs. Or they can actually sit there and scream at you and say, look, there's something really bad happening because every single PABX I got, it just registration failed, right? So your alarms are very good. They also show, for example, if you set things for an overnight upgrade, you know, the execution went well, it's been successful. If you've set up scheduled backup, so you're backing up on a continuous basis for all your PABXs, again, that they're successful. All right, but it does give you, again, a bit of a tinkle of what is happening with all your PABXs. So if you, like I said, if you have a mass outage on your SIP registrations, well, then you can come here and see, all right? With your alarm settings, again, everything is like it is on the in the PABX itself. I can sit there and say, you know, I want to notify, send an email when the remote managed device is deleted or whatever's happened with things along the way. The alarms are still triggered and left in here. But if I have my alarm settings set for notification, it will then try and send an email as well. All right. So what I can do, for example, is turn all these notifications off, all right, and just leave SIP chunk registration notification on, add an email address for it to send, all right, and at what level it sends at. And so I could actually have, it's not a sys log server, but it's just an alarm notification that maybe something's going wrong. All right. Again, you can do this on a PABX level as well, right, inside the PABX, but this gives you a bit more of that global sort of health of your PABXs from an on-top look, and it's something you don't have to keep maintaining. Systems, all right. My preferences is nothing. It's day, month, year, and all sort of junk like that. Users is a massive one. Like I said, conceptually, what you want to do is you have a central management portal, which is what we're looking at now. It's going to control all your PABXs. All right. When you first create, if you're first created, you get a super user username and password given to you on this URL. All right. And you don't want to be giving that super user password out to everybody. All right. Because you're going to come across a stage where, you know, Frank leaves and Frank's really disgruntled. He has access to all your PABXs. It's poor security, all right? So your choice is either coming here, resetting the password, all right, for everybody, all right, or we create users, all right? Now, users are great, all right? To add a user, first name, last name, email address. The email address must be unique because that's going to be their login name, all right? It's very much like it is when you create a PABX. Now, when you create your user, all right, what is ticked here is what is here. So, oh, sorry. So what is the dashboard is the dashboard. My subscription is my subscription. Remote management is remote management. And from here, you can do things as well, okay? So if I'm setting up a contract, I'd probably allow him passwordless login to PABX, right? But I might shut down things like my subscription and not let him see that. Maybe not the dashboard because it's not really relevant to him, right? Groups are groups. Can you group PABXs together? Maybe not. Cloud PABXs. Can he delete a PABX? Can he export other operations passwords login? Yes, because I want him to come in here to jump into my PABX to work for me. But I don't want him to allow us, as in Conf Plus, to get access to the PABXs. Alarms, can he see the alarm lists? All right, so that's what we went through before. Yes, he can. Notification contacts, maybe no. I don't want to change that, but I want him to see the alarms that are going through. The system settings, can he add and delete users? All right. fairly big one. Tasks, can he create tasks? Right? Again, for a contractor, I'd say yes, because every time I want to do a backup, which is stuff we're going to go through in a second, I want to do a backup, a restore, or an upgrade, I'm creating a task to do that. All right. So, like I said, if we tick here and we go upgrade, the first thing it does, it takes me to a task, to add a task. Now, once you've created him, you can change it and you can come and let him access more features or remove features from him. All right. Can he make a repository? Can he do backup files? Can he do a provisioning template? All right. So it's just a kind of, the concept is you're using your YCM portal, you're allowing others in there in your company, all right, but you're giving them different restriction levels that they can do. And when they leave, you can just delete it. Done. All right. Once you've created your user, it will then send an email to them, exactly the same as it does when you set up your PABX for the first time. You know, you create your password and you're away and you're in. Operational logs, very powerful again. All right. I can sit there and see who's logged into the YCM management portal. So who's logged into this, where we are, and what they've done. All right. It gives me the public IP address of, that's me. It's giving me the public IP address of who did it. All right. As well as you can sit there and see, you know, this is actually my address here. All right. I passwordlessly accessed one of the phone systems. All right. So you can see what somebody's done. You can see people have logged in and logged out. You can see they've created scheduled tasks. So it gives you a rundown of what the users have done all the way through the PABX. Again, it's just a backtracking thing for you guys. Tasks. Tasks are actually quite big and quite powerful. All right. So especially for things like upgrades and stuff like that. Now, upgrades are quick. All right. And we all know that. But, you know, if you want to set up, for example, an immediate upgrade, all right, you create a task. And I can either go down to tasks, create a name. It's going to be an upgrade, what firmware version I want to upgrade it to, what it is. In this case, we're looking at Cloud Edition. Okay, it's going to be once. We want to do it when, like tonight, or do we want to just do it now? All right. Now, yes, you can do this from inside the PABX themselves, all right? But this now lets me do multiple. So for a lot of you guys who will have 15, 20, 30 PABXs out there, this is now giving you a lot more control instead of individually logging into each PABX and upgrading if you want to, or creating backups, all right, or scheduled backups, all right, because you're creating a task and you're going to back up a bucket load of PABXs and do them whenever you're going to do them, okay? It just gives you that more control over a lot more of your platform. Okay, and for example, we're going to do an upgrade to this firmware version. Select the PABX you want to do it on, or which ones you do. If you group them, you can do a whole group at once. All right, again, that's why grouping is good. All right, and then you save. Next morning, you'll walk in and you'll see if your upgrade has been successful or not. Okay. Now, what I've done as well is I have a backup running on our PABXs. So if we want to back up our PABXs on a weekly basis, which is not a bad thing to do at all, create a backup, what we want to back up, you know, the call logs, contacts, and so on. We want to do it once, or we want to do it weekly, monthly, daily, whenever, and what time we want to do it. All right, and time and date. Which PABXs or which groups we want to do. And that will just create a task. And that task will run just like these have, all right? So every week we back up our in-house phone system, the one we use for our office, as well as we back up another one, which is our lab, all right? And you can see success when they come through or if they've failed. All right, lastly is repository. Firmware versions, their release notes, what they fixed. or what's new. Very handy. Your backup files. Okay, now this is kind of a big one, all right? So what we've got is these files are stored in your YCM portal, all right? But you can't download them from here. Now, this is only just a flag, all right? So if you are looking, for example, some of you have your foot in both the Yeastar branded as well as the white label platform. If you are moving between the two, right, you actually need to back up inside the PABX because you can download that onto your PC, all right? In this case, these backups are stored and saved in your YCM Central Management Portal. All right, I have written the cheat sheet and there is notes, or I didn't, Cole did it. There are notes and it's on the PowerPoint of how to change between Yeastar branded and white label. But in this case, the repository you have here, yes, I can restore from here, all right, and I can load it back into, my last little bit of save before I mucked it all up, all right? But I can't download it from here, okay? Provisioning template. I actually like this. All right. Some people are fans, some people are not. All right. So this lets me create a PABX, or it goes in two ways. Firstly, it lets me standardize a PABX when I create them. All right. Now, when I was tech, I was big. I had a batch file for the PANA, for the Avaya, for the NEC. All right, and that was things like locking this down, email templates. It was just basic so I could create cheat sheets, or I knew that when I created a template, every single site I did would have the same users or the same style of things I do, all right? So I can create a template which I can load into all my PABXs. And that could be, just my chunk setups, right? So every time we create a PABX, my host name, username, password, SIP headers is always going to be the same. All right. All I got to do is add my DDIs, stuff like that as well. All right. Another massive one is your resource repository. All right. So if you're looking at things like you have custom templates for your phones, all right, which does happen a fair bit. All right. So if you're using Grand Streams and you have a custom template, you want to import to all your phones, so they all work exactly the same way. All right. You can load a template. All right. You can create inbound routes, outbound routes, and so on, IVRs, PABX settings, preferences, your SIP settings. So every time you start up a system, your TLS port is enabled, right? It's just something even as small as that. It's just simple settings that you kind of forget to do time and time again. Now, I know there are others out there who hate custom templates because it makes you lazy and you don't know your system that well, but that's fine. Everyone is different. All right, date and time, email, event notifications can be all set up. All right, country allowed IPs, security settings, your allowed IPs and stuff like that could be all set up, and your integrations, maybe text to speech or APIs. The other one for a template is it also allows me to create a PABX without licenses. All right, so if I have a system that I want to run up, but we're not going to commit to the licensing, it might be fairly big. All right, we're not going to commit to buying the licenses till next month. I can start the config of the system now. I can create the extensions, I can create the roles, the visibility, and so on. All right, I can create my chunks, and then when I buy my licenses, I can then just upload this into PABX, and I've created a batch file for an existing system I'm about to make. All right, so it's really handy that way. All right. Now, you can have up to 50 provisioning templates, all right? The way you create a provisioning template, all right, it's like a 1, 2, 3 step, all right? You create the PABX like you normally would. Go through the wizard, add a PABX, away you go. I can't do it because I just started one. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so you create a PABX like you normally would. You go through the entire wizard, get to the end, the PABX will start, all right? You create a provisioning template. Put a name to it, and you're away. And the last step you do is you create a task to load the provisioning template to the PABX you just created. So it's like a 1, 2, 3 step. Okay, and then when it's successful, you'll see it. You'll actually see it in the Cloud PBX because you'll see that status change. It'll go through the provisioning and the status light will change to blue and you'll see it spinning around just like you do when you normally start a PABX up. All right, that's pretty much it. All right. Now, the Yeastar Central Manual Portal, look, it's very quick, but it's something you're in all the time. All right. You do the concept of it is great. I mean, moving away from the days of, like I said, an Excel spreadsheet or a URL, a username and password to get into remote access phone system. You're doing it all here, and not only doing it here, you're actually seeing way more information, alarms, triggers, and stuff like that. Okay, usage, and it just gives you a basic health check of what you've got. Okay, and the other one is the licensing side of things in your subscription. Okay, you purchase licenses from us. They go into your portal, and they're for you to maintain and manage. So, especially if you have a lot of PABXs, when you start losing customers, which happens, right? It gives you an idea of where your licenses are, because you just don't want to just keep buying licenses when you've stopped PABXs, deleted PABXs, and have free licenses available to you. All right. So from that side, it's just keeping an eye on things and maintaining your license database, because we don't make a bucket load of money out of all these extensions. It just makes a lot easier from there. And from my side, that's it. Has anyone got any questions?
That's good.
Okay. Just before I do go, I think Harry on Monday is doing the the remote management side of things for the P series server. I don't know. Look, everyone is different. Like, to me, this is powerful. All right. Purchasing the remote management license for your server editions as well and bringing them into here, to my mind, makes total sense. All right. Everyone is different and every company is different. But to me, it makes sense to do. It gives me control over my systems. All right. To the same extent it does from here from my cloud PBXs. All right. And it gives you all the features that we just went through as well. All right. Every company's different, and the way you guys want to do things is up to you. But I would look at seriously. I would look at this for your P series server editions, which Harry's going to go through on Monday. If there's any other questions at all. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. It was quick, short, sharp, which is great for a Friday. Like I said, everything we've just gone through is in the knowledge base. All right, all the training things we've been going through over the last few weeks are in here as well under training, so you can download the PowerPoints, all the recordings, and they cover a whole range of topics. All right. If you don't have access to the knowledge base, reach out to us. All right, you can apply for it, but you really, really, really should have it. It's critical to you guys, because this is where everything we create is stored on the how-tos. All right, and that's it. Thank you, everybody. Have a good Friday. Go Broncos and Lions. All right.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Go Sharks. You're kidding yourself, Wayne.
Chris, can you try to end the recording?
How do you do that? Oh, pause stop?
Yeah.